An opportunity to talk with our friend Momo, also known as Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, was not to be passed up because she is at the front of the line of those reporting on the Genie Bus / Joe Lacob high-level phone calls that at some point, no doubt, will lead to LeBron James wearing a Warrior uniform. Isn't that right, Ramona?
I don't know what I go that for.
You didn't say no. You didn't say no. I noticed that.
Yeah, I think the moment was right there. Like, I think if he wanted to do that, and if they would have given the green light and said yes, and then I think things would have progressed. But this was a very interesting 24 hours for the Lakers and for the Warriors.
And it's 24 hours that passed with a Shakespearean much ado about nothing, but just play with it for a minute, Ramona, about the offseason. And if Chris Paul is off the books and Klay is willing to take less and LeBron doesn't want a full rack of $50 million, is it still possible that maybe he would want to head north and be a part of the goodness that we have up here?
I mean, I still think this door is open. It's not, it'd be harder to do now because the expiring contracts will now have expired in the offseason, right? Like the Chris Paul contract or the Klay Thompson or whatever it would be. But there's still sign-in trades. LeBron has a player option. Like there's, I think it's there's a way that these talks could be revisited. And I do think that it was more than just, like obviously the Warriors checked on it, but it went on for like 24 hours. Like this wasn't a quick no. On the Lakers end, it was a quick no, but it was let's check with LeBron, and it was a lot of lobbying from Warriors players, from people in and around that can get to LeBron, that we're trying to convince him, right? And I think this. Let's see how the season goes. Let's see how everything wraps up. Let's see what the summer looks like, where Bronny gets drafted. Like those are going to be big decisions for everyone. Plus, LeBron and Steph are going to be on the Olympic team together. We'll have all summer to talk about it.
Ramona Shelburne, ESPN, with us on Willard and Dibs. Okay, let's back up. You have twice referred to this 24-hour period. Can you take our listeners through the timeline of what exactly happened?
As best I know it, I think the people involved probably know a lot more than we do, right? But, I think my understanding is the Warriors decide on something like Tuesday night to make a real concerted run at LeBron. And most of Wednesday is Dunleavy calls Pelinka. Joe Lacob calls Genie Bus. Genie Bus says, well, both of them give we don't want to trade LeBron answer, but they also both, but Genie Bus essentially says to Joe Lacob, like, I don't know if LeBron wants to be a Warrior. You have to ask Rich Paul, ask his agent, right? And so they do. And it's Dunleavy and Rich and Lacob asking Rich Paul his agent. And I think this 24-hour period was more like Draymond, who has the same agent, is calling Rich, trying to convince him to convince LeBron. I assume there's some back and forth between Draymond and LeBron. I don't know if I know that, but I assume it. And I think that during that period, ultimately the answer came back as no, LeBron wants to stay a Laker. And he doesn't want to go through the trade, and or even explore this option any further. But the fact that it played out all over Wednesday, right before the trade deadline, as they're concurrently working on Alex Caruso scenarios and Olynyk scenarios and fielding calls on Wiggins, pretty interesting.
Well, very interesting. What about this, though? You said Warrior players are all lobbying. Aren't some of them in the deal? What would the deal have looked like?
Look, when I say Warrior players, I mean, I assume nothing happens here without Steph, right? I'm sure he's looped in on this. Draymond obviously was a part of it. I don't know who else was high enough on the food chain to be looped in, because these were very, very secretive, super, quiet. I think the word we used was clandestine, talks. Like, everybody involved was like kind of shocked that we found out about it when we called them. They were like, what? Like nobody could deny it because it happened, but they were all very surprised that it got out. So So I don't know which players knew, but I assume at least those two, right? Steph and Draymond.
Yeah, and the idea that it does get out makes us think, Mark and I and other people, about where that might have come from. I'm not trying to get the source, but wouldn't this feel a little bit like a trial balloon from the Warriors side in terms of asking the fans without directly asking them, hey, what do you think about LeBron as a Warrior?
That's more of a question that I have for you guys. Like, how would that play? I mean, like you're in the Bay. He's competed against the Warriors in 5 finals. Do people like LeBron? Do they
answering a question with a question? That's veteran right there. That's level 3, Ramona.
The answer is they're a lot more open to it than they've ever been before.
Interesting.
There are still plenty of people not open to it, but there are a lot of people starting to open to it because the Warriors are 25-25.
Right, and he's LeBron. He's still really good.
But he's the villain and he's the enemy here. But the idea of maybe getting one more for Steph, I think, kind of trumps the idea of, and, look, Momo, the idea that we've now stomached Chris Paul as a Warrior maybe has primed the pump, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was wondering how it would play in the Bucks. This is a guy you competed against for 5 finals, and then also he joins the Lakers, who ousted the Warriors from the playoffs last year, and then in the play-in game the year before that. They're obviously historic rivals, but I've always sort of felt like the Warriors and Clippers have this chippiness, and then the Warriors and Lakers, I don't know, they're rivals, but there's not a hatred there. There's not a chippiness to it. Right? There's a sort of there's a friendliness to that rivalry, I guess. This thing, right? I don't think they dislike each other. We know Draymond and LeBron are close. They were sitting together at the Super Bowl. They do a lot of things together. They both live in LA. I think they live 5 minutes from each other in Brentwood. I don't see it coming back up in the sense that I think the Lakers are better positioned to go add around LeBron. I don't think they're shopping him. I don't think they want to ever trade him. Theoretically, he wants to retire a Laker, but let's again see how the season ends. Let's see how people play this out.
Ramona Shelburne, ESPN, with us on Willard and Dibs. What is Klay Thompson's future with this organization?
Good question. I think he would like to. I think they would like for him to retire a Warrior. I think they would like to get another deal done with him. They obviously offered him an extension. It wasn't agreed upon, and I don't know if it was, the years and the money were not what he was looking for, right? Draymond gets 4 years, and they offered him 2. So there's a sort of, how is that presented? How is the money presented? But then again, what is the market, right? And especially with his injury history and how he's played this year. And so I think he'll have an opportunity to stay. I really do. I really think that everybody I talk to up there is very loyal to Klay Thompson. Like, they really have an appreciation for him and what he's meant to the franchise and who he is as a player. But will it come about in a way that he can stomach? Will he have a market elsewhere? Will somebody else throw a longer term deal with him? I don't know. I do think he's going to get to free agency this year, and we'll just have to see what the market is. And so far this year, it hasn't. You see good signs, and then there's a game like last night.
Yeah, boy. I mean, a rough one, and then an inexplicable foul late in the game. Just more of those games, I think, than the Claymaker games we're used to. Ramona Shelburne here on 95.7 The Game. What about the market for Andrew Wiggins at the deadline? Do you get a sense that there were no teams clamoring, or was there any teams covetous for his services? Yeah,
there's a handful of teams that were calling the Warriors about him. I think the Dallas stuff was real. I think the Knicks, there was several other teams that I'd heard of express interest in him. But were they giving the Warriors anything for him? Not really. I mean, he has a lot of money left on his deal, so that the Warriors had a choice. Like, do you want to sell low on him? And especially with the way he's been playing lately, the answer is no. I mean, he's still a really good player if he can be that guy he was 2 years ago.
Ramona, going back to LeBron, and every time this comes up, there's the brawny part of it. And I don't even know what kind of prospect he is. I just know that he's LeBron's son. It hasn't been a very seamless kind of collegiate experience for him. So what does that mean for where LeBron is going to play next? Are NBA teams, are the Lakers, are the Warriors willing to give up a draft pick to try to get him just to woo LeBron?
So that's a really good question. Is it a first-round pick or is it a second-round pick, right? Like where does he actually fall in terms of, how he's played so far? What's his market like? I think there would be teams that would use a second-round pick on him. I don't know about the first round. I don't know where he is on the draft board. There was one. Remember last year somebody put, I think Jonathan Kuminga had him in the first round, but I don't know where he is now. And LeBron's rhetoric has changed just slightly on it. Because he always said, I'd love to play with my son and be, and then lately he's used the phrase share the court. What does that mean? Right?
That means he's either a ball boy or the guy cleaning up sweat under the basket.
Or no, like they could both be in the league at the same time.
Right.
But on different teams, and then has anybody thought about, does Bronny want to be on his dad's team? Like, I don't know if anybody asked him what that's like. And I don't know, maybe if they're in the league at the same time, they can play against each other. And does he want Bronny to go up to a team that has championship aspirations where he's sort of like never going to play? Like, is he going to be Thanasis onto Antetokounmpo, right, where he's not going to play very much?
Right.
Or do you want him to be on a young team where he might get some run and be developed?
And the other piece of it is the reality that Bronny's probably not an NBA player. So does LeBron want to corrupt a college development just to rush him to the league so he can, quote, play with him or play on the same floor as him? Because what I see from Bronny is a young man who's probably 2 to 3 good college years away from maybe being an NBA player.
Yeah, I think he could use another year in college based on what we've seen right now. But it's a weak draft this year, and I actually do think somebody will take him. And he does have skills. So I think, especially with the promise of what it could mean for whatever team drafts him. So I agree with you. I think he could use another year, but I think he's coming out. I mean, that's the vibe we get, that he's going to test the waters this year.
Ramona, I totally get the PR of this, and you say publicly what you have to say when you're the Warriors, but they start playing better, and they're publicly going to say, we think we still have it in us, in-house, this roster, playing better. And then 24 hours before the deadline, they feverishly start calling for LeBron James. Do they really believe in what they have or not?
Okay, all season long, every time I talk to people there, they all just keep saying, we really like our team if we can just get healthy. Like, that has not deviated all season long, even in the worst of moments. And so I think I believe them. I think they believe it. And I don't think the LeBron trade chatter was a desperation move. I think it's sort of like what the Warriors do. They always shoot their shot. They always go after stars. They're always interested in getting a Kevin Durant or a LeBron or whatever. And they saw it opening with his public comments, his hourglass tweet, like, "Hey, let's call. Let's see if we can make a run at him." I know some people interpreted that as like, oh, they don't think they have enough or they're desperate. I didn't feel like that at all. I just think the guy's a great player, and he would give him a better chance to win. So why not explore it?
And seeing what you've seen from the Warriors over the past 2 or 3 weeks since Draymond's come back, do you really think that this team is a viable NBA Finals contender?
I might be crazy, but I do. I think when they're healthy, and if you get Wiggins playing at the level he was supposed to be at, or he should be at, if you get Kuminga continuing to grow, if Chris Paul comes back, I still like Moody a lot. Podziemski's taking steps forward. Klay Thompson, if he can get it together for an extended period of time and sort of accept that role that he needs to be in, I think they have a really deep, good team. I mean, they could have used some more size, yeah. But, okay, so they'll play Saric and Trace Jackson-Davis, out there, and when they play the Nuggets or the Timberwolves. But I think they have a deep, talented team.
Part of that is because of the emergence of Jonathan Kuminga, right?
Yeah.
The light bulb has really gone on, but I also wonder when names like LeBron, are out there. Our friend Anthony Slater with The Athletic followed up your report with the idea that the Warriors are going to be interested in any big-name wing that's out there. So if all that is the case, how committed are they to Kuminga's future? Is he completely off the table, or what are they thinking?
I had heard him referred to as untouchable. Like, one person said that they're never trading him. Like, they really are committed to him. So if there's a wing that's getting traded or another person being traded, I don't think it's Kuminga. People are going to ask, but they're very high on him, and I think that's I can't think of a trade where they would put him in.
Ramona, that's great stuff. Thank you so much for coming on.
And you got it. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, there goes Momo. Ramona Shelburne. Jonathan Kuminga, untouchable.